From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of My Burbank Talks, presented by the staff of My Burbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, Burbank. Greg Sherwood here with you once again, along with Ross Benson.
Tally-ho, Mally-mo, what do we do? Let's go.
And this week we have a special guest with Craig Drilling on assignment. We brought in our sports emeritus, Dick Dornan.
Well, I am so thrilled to be here, to be with you, Craig, and you, Ross. Thank you for having me, and let's have a good podcast.
We always plan on it. We never know where it's going to go. Well, we start off with the best intentions and go sideways.
AKA, let's ride.
Yes, we go down. Hopefully we'll go down the rabbit hole. In fact, out there, if you're listening, Ross and I the other night did a new podcast called Down the Rabbit Hole, where we started talking about local Burbank restaurants that are no longer with us, the dearly departed, as you might say, and came out pretty good. We're going to probably have that online for you by Thursday this week, and it's only part one because there were a lot of letters in the alphabet, so we will get to it. Last week's winner, the word was mixer, of course, and our winner last week was Keith Wilkes. So, Keith, congratulations. You get a $25 gift card to Hill Street Cafe. And please, you did not send in your email, your street address, so please send the street address in so we can mail your card out to you forthwith.
That's right. He gets a real gift card.
It's a real card.
For $25, you get to check out all that great food, Hill Street Cafe. Now, Dick, you've eaten at Hill Street Cafe once or twice.
Yeah, over the years, periodically, probably once a year. More so back in the day when I was working for Burbank and beyond.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're going back in time here, but Hill Street Cafe, awesome. And matter of fact, I was just there this past Friday night with Craig, and we enjoyed a great dinner and a really good dessert.
And I bet Craig didn't even look on the menu to see if they had chicken dinners.
You know what? I didn't.
See?
You're absolutely right.
But he did ask about the tomato bisque soup.
Yes,
that is Monday.
And that's only on Mondays.
Yes, we had the clam chowder. Well, I had the clam chowder.
Yes, is good.
Craig had the clam chowder.
This is good.
But the dessert was off the charts.
I had the peach cobbler. You had the cherry cobbler.
Yes.
And today we cobbled together. Let me tell you what.
Cobbled.
It was amazing. Just so fresh and good. And anyhow, Hill Street Cafe, we appreciate them sponsoring us. And please send in the word mixer. Send that email to contests@myburbank.com. And make sure you put mixer in the subject line.
Congratulations, Keith.
All righty.
Moving along.
Well, starting last Monday, the Planning Commission met. Now, we usually don't talk about Mondays that are a week old, but because the Planning Commission did meet, and they had somebody appealed the four, I believe it was 3 or 4 trees that the city had to cut down in an emergency thing. Not the 110 pine trees, just 4 trees that were pretty sick and needed to be removed, and a judge okayed it, and there was an appeal. And the appeal was denied by the planning board, the planning commission. They said it was actually 4-1 vote. I didn't see who voted for it, the appeal, but.
So I'm curious, if a judge gave the city permission to cut those 4 trees, how could somebody appeal a judge's order?
Because you're allowed to appeal anything. You pay the money, you can appeal.
Wow. Well, they lost that one.
Yeah, they did.
Got rejected and appealed. Well, those trees I bet are gone.
They were appalled and now they're appealed.
If those trees didn't come down in last week's windstorm, I'd be mighty surprised. I'll tell you, it was howling uptown Burbank.
We didn't. I think the best we got down here, I was looking at the My Burbank Weather Center. We had a gust of about 19 miles an hour. But that's not what I heard on the hill. You're getting about 30 miles an hour, I guess.
We were getting more. At one time, I heard the airport tell planes coming in, wind shear, 50 to 60 miles. Right there, it got pretty windy. There was other decisions that the Planning Commission was dealing with.
Chili John's came up, and Chili John's have been applying for a beer, wine, and distilled spirits permit. And the Planning Commission said, let them have their beers. And you gotta have a beer with chili, I guess, right? I mean, I'm not a beer drinker, but I know that's a great drink for people who like beer and chili.
Well, I happen to know the owners of Chili John's. They got bought a couple years ago, and the family that owns it, they have been trying to get a beer permit and the city just kept denying it. They've opened up a beer room. They want to do like a craft beer room next to where Chili John's is, and it's all part of the same building, and they couldn't do it. So I'm glad to see the city. I know the owner had to pay quite a bit of money to hire an attorney, go in and do the whole process. So it's nice to see that that got approved for Chili John's.
Yeah, well,
Keystone in Burbank, one of the longest buildings here in Burbank.
and we're glad they actually have new ownership now. The old owners, they would sometimes leave for a month at a time.
Well, they would put that sign on the door that said "Gone Fishing."
Gone fishing.
And they really did.
Yeah, well,
But see, that's a problem. People don't understand. You own a restaurant, you're there 24 hours. You don't get to go on vacation. So, my brother owns a pizza place. And when you are an owner of a restaurant, you got employees calling in Hawaii.
Really?
Yep, had two of them.
Did he ever tell you what the worst pizza was?
Nobody told me how hard it was to get employees.
I bet Craig knows the answer to what's the worst pizza.
the worst pizza was bitchin'.
Yes.
Bitchin'.
Even in Hawaii.
Well, my brother, the hardest problem, he had two different restaurants, and he'd pay his employees, like weekly, and they said, "We've been paid. We're going surfing for a month." It was so hard to keep employees. In fact, it drove my brother to getting diabetes from it, but from stress. Sold off one restaurant and next to Don the Beachcombers, and my son just went there. It just got bought out by a family that is from California, but my brother got rid of it many years ago. But you got to wake up early. You got to leave late.
Oh, I'm sure.
You got to make everything. Make sure it's good. You got to keep up your health.
If we had known this, we could have referred him to to Hawaii 5-0 back in the day.
Welcome, Dano.
No, Dano. Welcome, Dano.
Tuesday, there was we got a report finally. We asked for information on Monday, but we finally got the press release on Tuesday about police talk a 459, but it was a residential burglary that happened up on Viewcrest, and evidently there were 5 suspects involved. 3 went into the house, 2 were in the getaway vehicle. And when police arrived on scene quickly, once they were called, they nabbed the 2 in the car immediately with no incident. But I guess 3 came out of the house and decided to try to make a run for it. So, Ross, you kind of listened to it.
Well, I live right down the hill from it and heard it from the get-go. They rolled on a suspicious incident. And like you say, they nabbed 2 right away in a stolen Mercedes sitting out front, and the other 3 bailed and went down the hillside. Well, that hillside, if you know Burbank, it's above Joaquin, and there's a lot of debris basins, and these guys weren't going to come out. So they called in, and this is where mutual aid comes in really well. Burbank's helicopter was monitoring from the ground. LA was busy, so they got Pasadena's PD-1 in. And from where I live, you could hear that chopper because it's not a NOTAR. It's got a tail rotor, so it sounds totally different. They were flying over for like an hour and a half. At about 12:31 at night, everybody's going, "What the hell's going on?" And then they kept making announcements on the PA. Well, then they got a canine team. And it's probably great that the sergeant that was in charge of the whole operation was Burbank's former canine handler. And like, it was funny, at one time the pilot said, if you guys go this way, and canine had to say, well, the scent of a person goes uphill, not downhill, in colder weather. So in that brush, so they finally came out after the dog greeted them and gave him a couple of extra puncture wounds.
Fascinating.
Yep.
The moral of the story, don't mess with the Burbank police.
You know, you are so correct. It's many years ago. I know of an officer that said, you come to Burbank and, you know, be careful what you get. You might get a dog bite. You might just, you got caught. And I know we ran all the names of the suspects. They're all from L.A. They didn't get anything. It's the 18th burglary up on Viewcrest.
Wow.
I mean, that area is getting hit. So the nabbed them.
18 times in Viewcrest?
18 times up on that block.
Now, let me guess. That's probably a quarter of Empire Center, right? Or maybe even less than half.
Oh, less. It's 2 blocks, 3 blocks. But it's all those nice homes above Bryce Canyon Park. Yeah, Viewcrest, and you got a view of everywhere.
Well, the dogs took a bite out of crime.
Literally.
Yes, they did.
Wait, what theme was that? Take a bite out of crime.
That was McGruff the crime dog.
And you want to know what's funny? I went up there to shoot a picture the next day, and I shot the street sign for our My Burbank article, and what's right below it? Forrest, the neighborhood watch sign that said neighborhood watch done here. So
well, they need to keep watching more. There's been, how many did you say robberies up there?
18.
18 robberies?
Yeah.
They need to get their glasses cleaned. Okay, let's move on to Wednesday. We had some nice news out of the Burbank Unified School District. Teri Vargas, a teacher at Dolores Herta Middle School, was named Burbank Unified's Teacher of the Year. Each school site, I guess, nominated a teacher. Each school site had its own Teacher of the Year, and they sent all their teachers to the district. The district selects one to be the district's Teacher of the Year, and it was Teri Vargas. Ross, you were there, and I understand that you have shot her picture in the past.
Well, it's funny you say that. Yeah, her maiden name was Peppy, and when I walked in the room, I did not know who Teri Vargas was. And I walked in and she said, this is full circle. When she was 3 years old, I started shooting her picture playing t-ball and stuff like that, and I've shot her playing sports and everything. So she was rather. It was kind of neat to. I've been shooting for a couple of years now, but she's a lifelong Burbank resident.
Yeah,
went to Burbank schools and lives here and loves. There is a great article that in My Burbank talks about her.
Yeah, we asked her a few questions about and she was very.
She loves what she's doing.
Well, she's involved in sports. Goes to a lot of sports games, and she said that one of her former students was playing in college volleyball.
You can say USC.
I couldn't remember what school it was. Okay, at USC. And asked her to make sure she went to her first game, and she went to her first game. Just to support her, which was nice. Okay.
Now, Dick, when's the last time you covered a basketball? That's what, we didn't give, that's what Dick does on his spare time nowadays.
Well, spare time, that's his full-time job, is he?
He kind of hangs out at those arenas with wooden courts.
I was at USC probably 2 weeks ago for a men's game.
Poly or no, that would be
Galen Center.
Galen.
Then I was at UCLA 2 days later, and I just got an assignment today to cover the UCLA women's basketball team this Saturday and maybe Monday.
So, tell me if I'm correct. You provide the on-air talent with stats?
Very good. Yes, I do. There's 2 positions that each game has, and one is talent stats, which is what you described. You provide the on-air talent with key stats throughout the game. Keep them up to speed on how many fouls there are and runs and any historical records. And then the other position is official stats, in which you basically are on the headset with the truck. So you're with the the bug operator and the graphics department, and you're giving them information that they provide to the public on TV.
So it's a quick moving.
Yeah, I call it the game within the game. You got to know what's going on within the game itself.
So you know the sport rather well?
I do, just a little bit. But that's a side job I have.
So people that enjoy watching, let's say, the Dodgers or basketball, those guys, those announcers, they don't know, well, I don't want to say they don't know shit, but they're pretty sharp in their field. But there's people feeding them stats of how many basketball these people have thrown and everything. And that's what your job was. Is
Yeah, you want to make them look good because they're already great at what they do, but then you enhance their performance by giving them some really good information throughout the game. You don't want to overdo it with them, but at the same time, you don't want to not give them anything.
So you have a good working relationship with them, and you know how quick they need. And we could see, looking at your picture here, why you're not a TV talent, and they are. But
here you go. Yeah, you get to know people, and it's all about networking. And fortunately, through the Pac-12 network, which will be disbanded come this June from the LA area, but I was able to meet a gentleman who would eventually become the voice of that LA Rams, and because of that, he hired me to be his statistician for all Rams home games. So it's a small community, but yeah, it's a fun time.
And you've been with the Rams 3 years now, right?
Actually, just finished 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were there during the Super Bowl run?
Started in 2019, and then fortunately was there for the Super Bowl run, which is very memorable.
And in fact, the Rams flew you back this last year to Detroit for their playoff game.
Yeah, they
all
did.
expenses paid.
They took me back there to Detroit to 1 degree weather, and it was a phenomenal environment. Despite the loss, but it was just great to be there, and I'm very thankful to the Rams for that great experience, and looking forward to the upcoming 2024 season come August.
Well, I say that about my son, who's gaffer on America's Got Talent. You look at that show, and you go, wow, and then you look at the credits, and there's 900 credits. That's what it takes to make those guys look perfect and to make a show go on. And my son has never wanted to be in front of the camera. He loves doing everything behind.
Yeah.
And it's, well, in the old showbiz, that song, Applause, Applause. It's when you get awards and, when the show's done, you wrap that day, and there were no mistakes and the show's in the can.
Show's in the can. Okay. Let's move on here.
There isn't much more to move on.
No, there wasn't much that week. Now, Friday night, BTAC, Burbank Temporary
Aid Center.
Aid Center. Why was I not thinking there was? I was trying to think what the C was. Okay. Burbank Temporary Aid Center held their gala at the cat. And now we were talking, was it last week or the week before, that a lot of these organizations are not having their galas and their fundraising events in Burbank. Well, BTAC did, So I give BTAC credit for that because, if Burbank people are spending the money, then you should spend your money in Burbank. So they were at the Castaway. Now, you up there, Ross, didn't you? And shot a couple pictures and stuff. And
yeah, it was, I haven't been to the Castaways in...
In fact, Lynn Lipinski, our writer, was up there too, covering it.
Lynn and
wrote a very nice story.
Lynn and her husband, and I haven't been up to the Castaways in months and months, and the BTAC has been around 50 years, I think longer, but this was their 50th celebration, and they filled that room. I mean, besides the politicians and the citizens, and they raised quite a bit of money. They do a silent auction and some of that stuff. In fact, we have an article. Lynn did do a fantastic article. They honored Larry Stamper, the Chamber, and one of their volunteers. And I know they raised a lot of money for our BTAC. And it's funny, listen to Barbara Howell, the CEO of BTAC. Nowadays, they're getting some, with these strikes going on, the people that they're seeing come in that need help.
Well, let's hope that all this money being spent lately, some of that they start trickling down to them also. There's a lot of, we just passed that state measure, and there's the federal government sending money and all these things. Let's make sure that Burbank has a way of getting left out of these things.
Well, that's the sad part. I do hear that Burbank probably won't see much of that money, if anything.
Yeah.
So.
Now if the county has their way. Well, that is kind of it for last week. It was not a very big, eventful week. So let's take ourselves a short commercial, and we will come back with the week that will be.
Enjoying the show right now? Thinking you may want to do your own podcast? My Burbank Talks is renting out our podcast studio on an hourly rate. You can do audio podcasts or both audio and video, and even bring in guests to talk with. We will help you get set up on podcast platforms and start a YouTube channel, and we can edit your productions to make you look and sound your very best. If you're interested, please drop us an email at studiorentals@myburbank.com. That's studiorentals@myburbank.com, and we will get back to you. Now, back to our show.
All right, everybody. Craig Sherwood here, along with our sports emeritus, Dick Dornan.
Here I am.
There you are.
Glad to be here.
Look at it. I didn't have to tell him to talk. The first few weeks we did this, Ross would only give thumbs up and salutes and things like that. And I go, Ross, the people listening in their cars right now who aren't on YouTube don't know what you're doing. So you got to say hi. So, but of course, we've got Ross Benson here.
The Ross Benson.
Oh, I'm supposed to talk too. Yes, I stuck around for the second half of the show.
How amazing. But then you are the show.
I don't know about that. We got some good stuff I'll talk about in the second half.
Well, let's start off with today. The Airport Commission today met at 9 a.m. at the airport, as they would do it at 9 a.m. There wasn't much on the agenda worth talking about, but they met, and we should acknowledge that.
Well, they're moving along, you know that.
But they will. They are going to. They did acknowledge two of their first responders. Their Burbank, Hollywood Burbank Pasadena Airport Authority Officer of the Year. That's a mouthful, huh? Was Sean Toth, and Romero.
Boy, you're going to eat this one up.
I'm going to eat this one.
Romero, he apologizes before
yes,
he says it.
Romero Arguay.
I think that's pretty close.
I'm giving that a try. He was honored as the Firefighter of the Year. Ross, why don't you tell us a little about the Hollywood Burbank Glendale Pasadena Airport Authority?
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you do that again?
That's
a lot.
You know, it's funny. People, they want you to call it the Hollywood Burbank Airport. That's their branding. But officially and legally, their name is the Bob Hope Airport. But they don't want people to use Bob Hope Airport anymore because nobody knows who Bob Hope was. They've all forgotten. So now, but the authority is the one that actually hires the personnel who work for the airport. So the police, the fire, and the commissioners, since Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena all jointly own the airport, then they formed the authority. So it's the Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena Airport Authority.
Well, I got some shocker there for you. The authority doesn't hire these employees. There's an outside company that actually does. They work for an outside company.
So they don't hire the fire chief and the police chief and all that?
Well, the police chief, those two, I'm not sure, but you get your check not from Hollywood Burbank Airport. You get it from an outside company, and it's been that way for years. That's how the contract has been. But Sean Toth used to be a Burbank police motor officer. He retired last year, and the chief of security services, Ed Scavarna, good friend of mine, has been the chief over there for years. He retired from Burbank.
And a great guy.
Oh.
An absolutely great guy.
Ed is, that's why he's
always
there.
Helpful. And always wants to help, and always, does what he can to be there for you. I mean, yeah, we've never gone asking and not been fulfilled with our request.
Well, that's the thing. These guys, when he took over, you got to think about it. You don't deal with petty thefts. You don't. People aren't stealing hubcaps. They're there as a PR part of it. Most of these police officers are retired police officers that have put in their 20 years. They don't want to be running and chasing guys, even now they can, but they're PR plus. And working for Ed is a dream come true for a lot of these officers. A lot of guys come from Burbank. I know they've some retired CHP officers, Glendale, LAPD. They had at one time, and I don't know if he's still employed, the officer Rick that took down the North Hollywood shooting suspect. He was on their SWAT team. But also, Craig, who was the Burbank officer that you interviewed in front of Kmart? Yep, I know your mouth is open.
He was the PIO at the time.
That's
it
right.
was Sergeant Duran.
No. Well, he's there. He's been there for the most.
So you
years.
didn't know it either, huh?
I do, but
Put me on the spot, why don't you?
but then also their fire service. People don't, understand. There is a whole company. FAA requires that they have crash rigs, fire trucks, or not fire trucks, fire engine, and so forth. When you call for emergency services out there, if it's a first aid, they respond first, and then like I say,
Emergency lanes, isn't it? The crash units.
crash rigs and
They're very fancy crash rigs.
oh, very. We're gonna do a story not too far because they got a new one,
Oh,
and I'm told it's state of the art. But these guys get Officer of the Year and Fireman of the Year, and it's nice to see them recognized for their diligence out there. And they just don't go out there and twiddle their thumbs. I mean, they're the nicest guy. You always walk into the terminal, and there's an officer to the entrance. If you have questions, a lot of people will lay their bag down or walk off with their cell phone on a chair, and people turn it in, and that's what they're there for. I mean, PR plus. So nice to see Sean Toth get awarded, and Officer Romero of the fire department.
Officer Rivero, who?
Yeah.
Yeah, huh? Well, we know he's probably very deserving. We just don't know. I don't know where he came from. There's not really any kind of release about it, but we don't know where. I think he maybe just hired right by the, because I think in the fire department they kind of hire themselves, don't they? Don't really.
Well, they also hire retired, like Burbank. The chief out there is Tom Linehan.
Right, but I think the firefighters they don't really laterals. I think they're kind of hired.
No, right.
Yeah, so I think this was a direct hire probably.
But Ed is over. In fact, Ed just signed a new contract. He'll be there for the new terminal, replacement terminal, when it gets built. But, all that, people don't understand behind the scenes. When everybody sees those Ospreys or those Navy helicopters coming in, Ed is in charge of all that, of where they park, where they, all his guys know. When the president's coming in town, when VIPs are here. Last month, the mayor went out there to meet
First Lady.
The vice president's been here. I mean, so Ed's in charge of all that. Great guy. And our airport, if you think about it, Burbank is a city within the city. Airport has all their own.
Yep.
Warner Brothers has their own. Security, fire, Disney.
But it's part of Burbank.
Yep.
Okay.
And now Craig's favorite committee.
Oh, the Sustainable Burbank Commission. They met today at 5 o'clock. And can you believe this? They were the only meeting tonight on a Monday night for a change. So they got everybody's full attention. There wasn't
Dick,
14,
were there any sports games that they should be watching?
there wasn't 14 other commissions meeting at 6 o'clock tonight.
Well, maybe they're listening to this podcast and getting the message.
Well, you kind of wonder, you kind of hope. We have talked about that with the mayor before, saying, why do you have 4 different meetings at the same time on the same day, and then other weeks there's nothing going on? It didn't make a lot of sense to me, but...
Well, you know what, Dick? It's funny you say that because one of the planning board commissioners, she does follow our podcast because she's told me she listens to my rant. And one day she tweeted a picture wearing my Burbank swag.
She bought some of our swag,
Wow.
yes.
Very impressive. That's
So,
great to hear.
always good to give a shout out to our.
So the
In
Sustainable
fact, there
Commission...
is an opening. I believe we ran that there's an opening on the planning board if to
Well, the
fill that
planning-
empty
yeah, well,
seat.
we're talking about the Sustainable Board right now.
Oh, that's right. Wow, I'm lost.
Somebody's already planned. Somebody's already planned for that vacancy. Anyhow, they're going to look into awarding somebody with the Green Spotlight Award, which they're trying to find somebody deserving, I guess, to win that.
Well, don't they? I thought they do that every meeting.
No, I think this is a yearly award.
Oh.
2 of their ad hoc committees gave reports. They have a lot of ad hoc committees. And they're also looking at what the upcoming city council agenda items are. This is a commission that actually interacts with the city council, advises the city council, and is not just there just to say, give me a report, file that report. So we always like what the Sustainable Commission does.
So they have a vested interest into the city.
Yes.
more than any other.
Well, yeah, they actually they have agendas that they want. They're starting to talk now about gas powered leaf blowers. They got to help get a sustainable plastics ban approved.
Would you believe, Dick, come July, Burbank, you can't bring plastic water bottles or styrofoam?
You can't buy them at a city function.
Right.
And then in 2
If
years,
if the city's involved?
I think by January of 2025, no restaurant can give out non-sustainable, non-reusable silverware. It's like McDonald's. They've got to use silverware. They've got to use
All comes down to
Yeah.
that Sustainable Commission. They're the one.
no plastic containers anymore, anything, and all the restaurants in Burbank, and that includes the fast food and the food trucks.
So is it fair to say this could be the future in a lot of cities?
It will be.
They're
It
the-
will be.
The law is being passed. Yeah. The
The state, it hasn't got there yet, but I think Burbank's one of 2 or 3 cities in the state that's now adopted that. Let's move on to Tuesday. Tuesday morning, and you should wake up early if you.
that's tomorrow.
It is. Are you going to wake up for this?
God, I better go home and go to bed.
Tomorrow morning, or
Set your
Tuesday.
alarm.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, we're sorry later because it's already passed. But if you're listening to this in your car right now on Tuesday morning, because we get our audio up on Monday nights, Tuesday morning is Coffee with a Cup. And that's at Cafe Grano. Am I saying it right? Grano? I've never heard of this place.
Yes.
It's at 100 North Saffron Boulevard. And it's from 8 to 11 a.m. And I guess the coffee is free.
the PD does provide the coffee. I believe
Your
the
tax
foundation-
money at work.
No.
The Burbank Police Foundation money at
I
work.
believe the police foundation supplies the coffee. That way, the store isn't out of their coffee.
I hope they buy it from the store at least.
Well, usually they do.
I hope they don't bring a Starbucks container in.
But what's nice about that event, you have a question for the chief. If you had something happen on your street, chief, the captains, I know Renee is out there from the neighborhood watch and so forth. You can talk to them one-on-one. And it's a great social place to get to know your police department without them. Usually a lot of people, the only time you talk to a police officer is when you have a crime or something in your neighborhood, you dial 911 and you deal with the police. Well, this is a social type event that you can meet and talk. And real nice.
So you can get there at 8 a.m., have your cup of coffee, and then off you go if you want to, and head over to Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, where they're going to have a ribbon cutting of their new urgent care. And that's at 8:30. And I know somebody who is going to be there too. Who's going to set his alarm early tomorrow.
Am I even going to go to bed? I'm not sure, but 8:30. I can't even say it.
Yeah, well.
Yep, this is
I
the
think we're all
new.
tired because we all watched the Dodger game last night at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know why we all did that, but we're just
I know I did.
We're starved for baseball right now.
We all know why, because the big one's coming up here.
Yes.
But this new urgent care, it is actually facey. There's different divisions of Providence, and we think of St. Joe's Hospital. The new urgent care is run by Facey, Providence Facey. So they're going to do a ribbon cutting, some speeches, and then I'm told that they are going to have tours of the new urgent care. And after the tours, there's going to be probably some good stuff from the commissary, from the cafeteria.
And no shenanigans. Okay, good.
Nope.
Well, that brings us to our council meeting, and we're finally having a council meeting again after having a dark week. A few things going on there. They're going to meet first in closed session, and they're going to talk about the city attorney's contract and the evaluation of the city manager. These are very routine things. They do it several times a year. I would like to see what they're going to do for the city attorney's contract, though, how long they give him a contract for.
Is he year to year?
We don't know. And the thing is, what's funny about that is after they make a decision in closed session, if the decision is made, they are supposed to report that at the meeting. And of course, the city attorney will come and say, the council took no reportable action. So what? That means you don't have a job anymore? You don't have a contract anymore? What does that mean? No reportable action. They didn't approve your contract? So it's interesting that what they say and what they do, and if you're not careful and you don't kind of watch the city will hold a lot of things back, and that's just the way they are. They just don't. They don't do it to be mean. They just do it because they just want to be self-contained, I guess.
Well, I think what it comes down to is what they need to report out. They report out the minimum.
Right, but shouldn't that be how many years
Well,
of a contract they gave him? If they renewed his contract, or shouldn't they?
what they should do and what they do,
Yeah,
two different things. I mean,
and the city attorney's the one who reports it out, so he probably doesn't want to report out on himself.
well, but it's also look at when they talk about Brown Act stuff. I mean, that changed, and we weren't told of how the Brown Act has changed,
No.
and it has. So it's like you said, it's standard procedure. Every company goes, you get evaluated by a superior, and what are they going to tell him?
We know he's going to get rehired or continue. He does a great job. It'd just be nice to know what his contract is, because it is a public contract paid with public money, and it is on the agenda.
Well, I do recall when they brought him on, it was on the agenda what his salary was going to be.
Yeah.
But we don't know how many raises.
Right, I don't care about his salary. I'm sure they pay him a good salary, and I have no problem with that because he does a good job. But just like to know how long he's been renewed for.
Yep.
2 years, 5 years, 1 year? Oh, yeah. The council can report an introduction of an ordinance amending Title II and Title VI of motor vehicle and traffic of the Burbank Municipal Code to transition parking management to the Community Development Director and oversight to the Transportation Commission. So I guess it's just that's more of a paperwork thing. It's on the consent calendar. So the Transportation Commission will now start overseeing parking, and now that we have a private parking service instead of Burbank employees doing the parking now, then I guess that's they're going to oversee that. What's our company again who does the parking enforcement? Laz, right? Isn't that who it is? Okay.
Yeah. When I read that report, they disbanded one of the other committees, and this is again paperwork to correct the Burbank Municipal Code for what the jobs that one committee did that now shifted it to a different committee. So it's basically paperwork, and I think this is all part of the consent agenda, so it'll probably be all approved.
And then they're having a report, and it's an approval of a 5-year economic development strategic plan for 24 through 28. And they've engaged a company called Stratoscope, a consulting firm. It just seems that we have so many consulting firms in this city. Everything we do, we're paying a consulting firm. I kind of wonder how much money in a single year that we pay to consulting firms that don't do anything except consult. And it just seems like, wouldn't it be cheaper maybe to have an expert in that category who could run that for us? And I'm sure
I think you just said it. The cost to have an expert on city.
So we're paying a company $300,000 a year for consulting, and we pay a city employee instead $125,000 a year.
$125,000 plus benefits plus his retirement.
Still less than $300,000 a year.
You don't know that. And anyway, if you read that report, there's quite a bit of research that they do.
And we'll talk about that right now. But one of my also things is they're going to do a 5-year. It's going to be a 5-year strategic plan. I'm all for that. What I'm not for is the Burbank 2035 plan.
But I don't see anything.
No, I'm not. Let me finish. The Burbank 2035 plan, which was made 15 years ago, and lasts for another 10 years, does not cover so much stuff that has now come through the Burbank system. I mean, electric vehicles and charging stations. There's a lot of things that was not in that plan. And that plan, 25-year plan, it was way too long. I like a 5-year plan. Because I think in a 5-year plan, you can kind of foresee what's going to happen in the next 4 to 5 years. I get that. A 25-year plan, by the time that thing's up, it's going to be archaic.
But Craig, they heard you.
Oh, they
They're
haven't
doing what you wanted. You don't want a 35-year plan, so they're doing a 5-year
No, they
plan
still
to
have
keep Craig Sherwood
Burbank
happy.
2035 is still in place.
Oh, it is, but this report,
And they always refer to it.
this report,
All right.
so
Well, here's some things in last year. The city actually received $61 million in sales tax money back.
where's that little ding dong on the cash register? 61
We don't have that tonight.
61 million.
And they also received $69 million in property tax revenues, both of which are projected to increase this year, of course, because they've raised our taxes. In 2023, the city also added 150 new hotel rooms with an additional 307 hotel rooms under construction. And, of course, we get a bed tax. Every time you put your butt in a bed in Burbank, you're paying a tax to the city. So thank you for visiting. They also said that the AMC theaters in Burbank rank in the top 3 theaters globally. Now, I've heard that the AMC in Burbank is the number 1 theater in AMC this side of the Mississippi, I think it is. But they ranked top 3 globally. And the Empire Center is the 6th most visited shopping center in the nation. I was surprised about that also.
Well, I know the police are out there at least 10 times a day. Are they counting trips? Oh. But go back a second, and you think about that. You want Class 1 police, Class 1 fire. You want your trash to be picked up on Christmas Day. All those things cost, and that's why these figures help our city. People think, oh, we pay for police and fire. Well, no. Having a Class 1 fire department goes into the general fund, and that's where these monies go to. So when you're out at the Empire Center, yeah, you're paying a tax, but also paying, other stuff out there. That
Because they have to go there and arrest all the people from other cities who come do crime in Burbank.
Well, that's true.
3 of the goals they have, and I like these goals. One is streamlining the permitting process to enhance opening of new businesses and expansion of existing businesses. Now, Ross, how many times have you heard that a restaurant or something is just bogged down and waiting and waiting and waiting for permits and everything else? Oh, you hear that all the time, don't
I
you?
hear it at least 2-3 times a week. The red tape for a business to open in this city is mind-boggling. And you talk to an owner, or a good example, good old Tin Horn Flats, how long ago did they close and got sold? The guy wants to open up Magnolia restaurant there, a new restaurant.
And still can't because he's waiting for city red tape.
Yeah, and that's the darn problem. It's to get through that process, and they got to do something to correct that.
And not just the larger businesses either. We're talking about like that restaurant. I mean that's a smaller business, but to that business owner, it's important, And he's invested into the city of Burbank. He's bought a business. He bought the property. I think he did also, and he's sitting there, and you don't make money when your business is not open.
But I also hear that, people love to open their business in Burbank. We don't have an occupancy tax like they do
In LA.
And the square foot tax here is less than everywhere. So I'm told that people would love to open up here. And once they get through the process, the city was so helpful. But boy, until you're through that.
I have a question. Why do they call it the red tape?
Because black tape you can't see.
Okay. That's a good question. Why is it? I wonder why you call it red tape.
It's a great. Yeah, I'm just curious. It's a common phrase.
Tune in next week and we'll have an answer for you. We'll try to find out. There must be some reason that it's called red tape, not just
Okay, Dick.
pure concrete tape.
Craig is on vacation. The other Craig Durling is out of town. I don't know if he's working or on vacation. So that seat will be vacant next week. That's your homework assignment, is to find out where the word
I'll
red
be on
tape.
it. I'll
I'll bring you some red tape if you want.
There you go.
The second thing they want to talk about is where am I at here? Okay, goal 2: optimize occupancy of vacant and underutilized spaces to maximize city revenues and opportunities. That's a good idea. Now, I think isn't the building over on, I want to say 10 West Magnolia, the one that we had our 3-alarm fire in about 2-3 years ago? Isn't that's a city-owned building? And I'm pretty sure it's still sitting there vacant. Why aren't we either selling that to somebody to develop it? Why aren't we doing something with it? I mean,
I'm told
those are buildings like that,
I'm told that's, if I recall right, I saw it, that the guy that wants, from Golden Road, wants to develop all that. But the reason the city is not demoing that building, I'm told it'll cost millions because the walls, that was a freezer, cold storage.
Right.
The walls are 6 and 8 foot thick concrete.
Hey, here's a suggestion. Sell the property. We don't need that property. Why are we having it on our reserves? So I think that's maybe what they're talking about here. You know, it says here, vacant or underutilized spaces. And if that doesn't qualify for that, I don't know what does. Another goal, increase the resources to support diverse, independent small businesses. Now, once again, we agree upon that. I know you're on the Magnolia Park Merchants Board, and you're always trying to get, different small businesses in here and diverse businesses. So hopefully there'll be some, incentives to come into Burbank, and, hopefully they're talking about, they say small businesses. They're not talking about the big corporations. So let's see if they're going to put money where their mouth is.
Well, I read in that report, and I thought I saw in there where they said Magnolia Park, it doesn't turn over that much. Even now there are blocks. There's one business that owns 8 businesses on that block, and they're all
Halloween stores.
Well, yeah, that's who they're owned by. But they're all taped off. The windows are all painted, whatever. But the downtown, between Magnolia Park and downtown, we have less stuff that's available in Magnolia Park.
There's still stuff there.
Yes, sir. We got a Rite Aid.
You look at between Burbank, the Rite Aid's completely open. And I remember they built that Rite Aid. And by the way, we talked about it on our show, and we have to correct ourselves. That was not a store that was on that corner.
It was Sugar's. It was Yonan's.
It was, and then Victor's Deli.
Well, Victor's Deli, yeah.
So
that's on our list. We didn't get to the V's yet.
No, I know. But you said there was a market on that corner. And I said, well, I don't know about a market.
And, well, when we get down there.
You were right about Albans. Albans, I got a nice picture of it on our show. So people, when you see our first restaurant show, you'll see some great old pictures on there.
Will we get hungry?
We did talking about it.
Well, you know what, Dick? You would have loved Victor's Deli. Long counter, homemade soups, pastrami on rye. They had the best lentil soup.
In fact, that's one of Ross's big.
Love lentil soup.
That's one of Ross's big complaints right now. There's not a good deli in the area.
It's funny. On Instagram, I follow Brent's Deli, and every time there's a picture up there, I go, "Boy, it would be convenient to get that at your new Brent's Burbank." I keep saying Brent's Burbank. Isn't that got a ring to it?
Where's Brent's Deli at?
Out Northridge. There's a couple. There's one out Westlake.
Yeah.
But you're talking chopped liver and schmaltz and pastrami but nothing east. When the deli in Glendale closed, Burbank has no. Well, we do. I can't say we don't have any. Right here on Pass Avenue, is that in the Media District?
Yes, Pass Avenue is in. Well, yes, that's in the Media District.
There's King's Deli. Now it's a little tiny, pretty small place. We'll go there some weekend you're in town. The owners are part of the Young Professionals, and they opened it up several years ago. They just got awarded by.
It's actually 1 block from here.
Yeah, literally.
Literally 1 block from here. And I've actually never been there before because no parking.
What's the name of the deli?
King's Deli.
King's Deli.
There's another deli the opposite direction from here. I think it's in Toluca. Hank's?
No, that's in Burbank. That's on Riverside Drive.
I noticed that the other day. Yeah.
Hank's Bagel. Yep.
And people say it's great. But that's a place that closes by 2 o'clock every day, and by the time I'm hungry, they're closing. And my rule is, never go to a restaurant the last hour it's open.
And guess what?
Things happen.
Bad things
We're
will
getting
happen.
a bagel boss. They're the first time they're coming out to the West Coast from New York on Magnolia. Bagel Boss. Can't wait. It's supposed to open this month.
By the way, we drove by Crumble Cookies again the other night.
The line?
No line. No. We could have parked right next to it again and walked right in. So I'm not sure where the crowds have gone, but we saw across the street a line at Porto's.
Coming here tonight, I driving down Hollywood Way. I looked over. 7:20. Line out the door and halfway down the street.
For Porto's.
Yep.
The Crumble Cookies. Nope.
I didn't even look because
Yeah.
it just opened.
Last thing on the council is they're going to discuss their legislative platform, which is always a good thing. You know, what they're supporting, what they aren't supporting, and getting reports of what's in the pipeline coming down, so they're not blindsided by SB 35s and SB 9s down the future, hopefully.
Okay, Dick, I got another one for you. Down the pipeline. Put that in your notes. Red tape and down the pipeline. You're going to be busy
Copy
this
that.
week.
But, you know, sometimes you actually send things up the pipeline.
Oh,
You know that, don't you?
wow.
The pipeline is a multi-directional piece of tubing.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let's move on to Wednesday. Once again, the animal shelter is going to have another low-cost vaccine and microchipping for your pets, dogs and cats only. Vaccines
Can I bring my cleaning lady? Oh,
Vaccines offer include the rabies, the bordetella, the DHLPP, FVRCP, and the flu. So call 818-238-3340 to secure an appointment.
gotta have an appointment to get in, they say.
Yes, you do. So once again, I'll tell you what. When I take Dodger over to the vet, I think Dodger's knocked out right now.
Yeah, I don't see him on the cameras.
Oh, he's not on the camera. Oh, Dodge.
He's snoozing until 3 a.m.
Yeah, there he is. He just put his head on my foot. There we go. Okay. But it's expensive to get rabies shots and shots like that. You know, that's not really cheap when you go to a vet.
And the sad thing is, most of those, some vets will do clinics on a certain day of the week. Instead of having a vet give a shot, they'll have one of their technicians, so you don't have to charge as much. I know the vet hospital I go to, that's how they do it. So
Now later on Wednesday, here's something I didn't know about. I didn't know about this, and I guess it's moving along pretty good right now. They are planning a new hotel on right by the Marriott Airport Hotel on Hollywood Way. It's called Dual Brand Hotel, and it's going to be called a loft, I guess. And it's going to be basically 262,000 square feet, a detached 4-story parking garage, and it's going to be 7 stories. Now, this is not going to replace the Airport Marriott or the Convention Center. It's going to be added in addition to it.
well, if you recall, they have talked about this, and I saw this.
I really didn't know much what was going on, but suddenly it sounds like it's moving ahead fast. It's on 11.76 acres. It's bounded by Thornton, Hollywood Way, and Avon Street. And so this is a meeting that it's a public scoping meeting. And by the way, it's going to be held virtually on March 20th.
Yeah,
So
this is if you drive past.
Zoom.
If you haven't been out by the Marriott lately, this is where they normally do some car storage, the back part of their parking lot. And this has been they wanted to do this years ago, and there was a kibosh on it because of finances, everything. But now they want to put more bedrooms in, and they don't have to. They got a convention center right there. They need more rooms for the conventions that they have going on.
What do more rooms mean? It means more beds. What do more beds mean?
More bed tax.
More bed tax. More butts in the bed. We like that. Hey, let me tell you what. They can't have enough hotel rooms when you talk about the Olympics coming up in 4 years. Every hotel room is going to be full.
And I think if you think about that, from that, the Olympics, and then there's some soccer stuff, and there's some other big sporting events going on. And people don't want to stay in L.A. anymore. The crime in Hollywood and the crime in parts of L.A.
Well, but do you think these people from Brussels are going to know about the crime in they want? You know what? They think all the movies are made in Hollywood. They don't really. All the movies are made here.
I have been told by somebody that works at one of the hotels that is a very big thing. They do look up the crime, and they read about it, and they hear about it, and they don't want to be.
Well, book your hotel room, Burbank.
That's right.
It's a safe place to go. Well, looks like later on Thursday night. I'm sorry, Wednesday night. Our police. Did I say police? The police commission's going to meet. Ross, what does that mean?
Wow. The police commission. That's a word of the week.
It's police. Our word of the week is police this week.
Isn't there a music group called the Police?
Yes, there was.
One of the best.
Oh, okay. Yes, word of the week, all you got to do is email us at contest@myburbank.com.
Put police in the subject line.
And you will win a fully paid $25 gift card to Hill Street Cafe. You can use it anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Only serving dinner, I think, on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only.
But we will be glad. So send your, what's the word again? Police?
Did you say police?
I did. That is our word of the week. Now that we have woken Dick up, I mean, he is totally awoken from the sound effects in our show here.
The commission's going to be at 6 o'clock at City Hall. They're going to have a discussion of how the Public Records Act process works.
How exciting!
Yeah, you know what? Every time I have to do one of those, I go. Let me tell you what, people. Here's how easy it is. You go to the city clerk's website, you click on submit a public records request, you fill it out, and it emails to the city clerk's office, and within a week they send you back what you asked for. That's how it works. So I just hope we saved the commission a 20-minute report on how the public act works. But
well, I'm kind of wondering. You and I've watched. Well, I do. You wonder why they want to. What the commission is going to learn from getting that report. What?
And what are they going to do with the information?
Exactly.
You know what's going to happen? I'm sure Kim Clark, our city clerk, who does a fantastic job, always responsive. I'm sure she is going to, and her staff has had to spend an hour or two working on a report, maybe a PowerPoint, and all, just to give them this report that they're going to say, oh, well, thank you very much. Moving on. And that's what bothers me about there's no reason they need this report. There's nothing that we'll see. Once again, you can watch it and let me know next week what they discussed about this report, about what action they're going to take about it.
Well, the next item that they're talking about, every department. Who did I just turn?
Well, current recruitment programs.
They're working their butt off trying to get officers.
Every department is.
Yeah, and they're all trying to get the same.
I heard LAPD is down a tremendous amount of officers right now.
1,000, I think.
Yeah. They keep saying, we want to add 1,000 officers. Yeah. Well, how about just add 1,000 officers that you already have budgeted right now?
Well, that's the sad thing is people don't want to be police officers.
I don't blame them because you know what, everybody's got a camera now called your phone, and everything you do is going to get, and it still comes down to the fact that, and I never understand why officers sometimes do what they do when people have cameras, and I've even seen officers that threaten people, put down that phone, don't you videotape. If you're not doing anything wrong, why does it matter?
Well, but what they have learned, and we've heard this, when the Office of Independent Review comes in, now that every officer wears a body cam.
Yeah. Well,
once you go into
not
an
every officer.
investigation,
In Burbank they do, but not in a lot of cities.
well, no, most cities do
Most,
now,
but not all.
Yeah, I'm talking Burbank. That's
Right.
where we
Okay.
are.
There you
We're
go.
still in Burbank, and they have found that somebody will put in a claim.
Yes. A
And
complaint.
then they will listen to their recorder. They're listening to their body camera on them. in their car, in the jail, everywhere you go, that officer will be. Your word against them, and that story changes.
Yep.
Quite a bit, and people will drop their inquiry when they find out, oh, maybe I added a little to that. You know, so it's great that we now, and how many years did we fight to get cameras?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, but
Now, what I wonder if our commission knows that you can get the footage of those cameras with a public records request.
now, see, that would be the question. We'll see if any of our commissioners listen to the podcast before Wednesday, because that would be the good question. That's how you can get that footage, is making a...
Public records request.
Yep, exactly.
Any member of the public can do that, or
Yes.
just
That's public information, yeah. Right? You have to live in Burbank. Anybody can make that request. Now, they'll always redact something if it's got personal information or something, you know, or shows a person who's not involved, and they'll redact that. It's like in shootings. They'll show you the footage right up until the trigger is pulled, but they're not going to show the person being shot and falling to the ground and stuff. You know, I understand that. That's not a need to know basis. You know, but
In fact, there is a whole, you know, years ago they didn't have cameras. Now there's a whole group of officers. That's part of their job, is looking at the footage, editing the footage that gets requested for, you know, record. Somebody requests some footage. They just don't pull that out of the air. They have to. An officer goes through that, and there's paperwork and everything that they.
Oh yeah.
You know, so yeah, there's quite a bit of work. And years ago, they didn't have that.
It's not like watch the FBI show and a guy shoots somebody and kills somebody, and the next scene he's out investigating something. No, he would be in their office doing a lot of paperwork and talking to a lot of people for a long time before he got back out on the street and worked again. But you gotta love television.
But talking about recruitment, I do know that Burbank, in fact, they have put it out on Instagram and X and all these platforms. There's some great incentives. $20,000. You get extra vacation.
Lateral transfers and all that. Yeah, they want
yeah.
everybody. Well, they're also going to talk about radio encryption. I guess they're just finding out about that 6 months after it happened. You know, and now they're going to report. You know, and I actually did write a letter to the commission and sent it off and said, why were you not consulted before this happened? If you are a policy board, why would a policy like that elude you? And you had to find out from the public and not from the police department. So we're going to see what they have to talk about radio encryption. I gave them a lot of points and a lot of, my point of view on things. So we will see we'll see if anybody even reads it. Because I had to actually send a letter to the police department. You cannot send it to the commission. And to me, that already doesn't seem right. You know.
Well, but boards and commissions, that's who they Sherry is their letter.
I understand that, but I don't send. I send a letter to the council. It goes to each council member.
Well, you're talking board versus the city council.
Well, I'm just saying,
Sustainable Commission.
But
it goes through Public Works.
Okay, but I'm just saying is that the person that's supervising them, they're supposed to be working with, is the person that's going to. We'll see. I'm hoping for the best. There's nothing nasty in it. Well, guess what though? The rest of the week's pretty empty. I guess enjoy the nice Southern California weather and all the good things that come with it. And when we get to the weekend, we got some activities for you. Saturday morning, from 9 a.m. to noon at McCambridge Park.
Come sit on an egg.
Come sit on. Yeah, there you go. Hopefully they're hard boiled. Enjoy fun activities before and after the egg hunt. It's an Easter egg hunt. You have egg hunts for Easter. You don't have egg hunts for any other holiday of the year. So it's the Easter egg hunt. They won't call it Easter, though. That's a dirty word now in vocabulary.
Well, wait a minute. There's an Easter bunny at the event. You can take your picture with.
No, there's a bunny. Not an Easter bunny. He's a bunny.
Wait a minute. How do you know it's a he?
That's true. That's true.
don't go down the rabbit's hole now.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
See?
Good one, Dick. You just...
Pretty soon you'll see these two rabbits on a video with... I'm not sure. I won't go there.
It's cats and dogs living together. So it's 9 a.m. to noon at McCambridge Park. The egg hunts are divided into different age groups, so your little ones won't get trampled. Advanced registration is required to participate in the egg hunt, so you got to let them know in advance. I guess they have to have enough eggs. You can learn essential bunny care tips from the animal shelter. So,
Well, you remember
so
that the animal shelter is part of,
the Park and Rec Department.
and who puts this event on?
Park and Rec.
So there you go.
So,
That's why.
But you snap a picture with our special bunny guest. Not Easter bunny guest, they're bunny guest. And so you learn essential bunny care. So guess what, kids? Ask your parents to give you a bunny.
This is the holiday, you know.
And I think, you know what? I think they have bunnies at the animal shelter.
Yes.
They do. So go to the animal shelter and get your kid a bunny. And then you can learn how to take care of them. Okay. Before we start the rants tonight, I have a little thing I'm going to bring up that it's kind of bothering me this week. I was out trying to...
So this is a Craig's rant.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Maybe Craig's comment. I don't know.
You already got your column.
I'm...
My opinion.
Well, you could do one too. It says your opinion. Driving around, I don't understand. You know, I'm driving, and all of a sudden somebody walks into the crosswalk, and they're walking across the street on Buena Vista or Burbank or some street, and I'm waiting to make a right-hand turn or left-hand turn or whatever, and the person walking across the street is just dawdling. No sense of urgency, just as slow as they can be, looking down their phone. What's up with people? You know, I've always felt if I was walking across the street, especially when I had good legs, if I saw somebody waiting to make a turn, I would do what I could to be a little quicker to make sure, you know, not to inconvenience them so much. But nowadays, people are just in a fog. And if you're not paying attention to that, then are you paying attention to anything else? If somebody, why do you think pedestrians get hit so much lately? A lot of pedestrians get hit. And I say, why weren't they anticipating what could have happened? Because they weren't watching. So that is kind of it. I don't know what else to say about it. But I just think that, you know, if you're a pedestrian and, you know, stop looking at your phone when you cross the street and get across the street, please. So that's it. So now...
God, it's getting hot in here.
Yeah, it is. You feel it?
Yeah.
I feel the flames coming. It's now time, and it can only be time for that one and only...
Ross's rant! Ross's rant! Ross's rant!
I'd take a flamethrower to this place!
Me. What's up, Doc?
Okay, Ross's rant. I got a couple. I'll tell you. The number of people honking horns at other drivers. Like, nobody has patience anymore. I'm sitting somewhere yesterday, I think I counted 5 times. Not at me, but for just the dumbest things, people jump on their horn. Brr, brr. What the hell? You know, I was going to turn around and say, the horn works, how about the driver? Or the horn blows, but does the driver? You know, it just... And lately, I find people looking at their phone while driving. If it's for maps or whatever, most phones have speakers on them. They can get that verbal, but they're looking at their phone. That in parking lots. Nobody has patience anymore. If you're waiting for a spot, there's somebody going to drive around you and flip you off because you want the spot next to the door. It just really gets me. People have no patience anymore, you know, especially in cars and other things. But I tell you, it just...
So you and I both had traffic-related things tonight.
Yeah, kind of, you know, it's just... I know I'm getting older, and, you know, I used to drive 65 and 70 down Verdugo at one time. But even doing the speed limit, now, you kind of wonder, how much did we hear complaints the last couple of weeks about safe streets?
Yeah.
Whoa, I wonder where that came from, because how many dead bodies are they picking up in L.A.? Didn't that pass? Where they're going to be putting in chokers and bike...
Yeah.
You know?
And bus lanes.
And bus lanes. You know, well, that brings up a good point. Bus lanes. People think the BART, the
BART.
Not Bart. You know, Bart was Stan's brother.
No, Bart's in San Francisco.
Right. The BRT
Right.
is going to go above Olive up in the hills. There's no bus going up there.
No.
It stops. Is it San Fernando, Glen
I
Oaks?
think it makes right on Glen Oaks.
Okay. People are just jumping all over that because of how they changed the lines, you know. One of our council members went out on San Fernando the other day and videotaped so she could do her own show and tell. Like our city's PIO office didn't do a good enough job. And then I see Friday night where they made it for these pickup and delivery guys. Everybody's parking there. These pickup guys don't have anywhere to stop to go get your food.
I see it all the time. In fact, you know, the other day I was stopping by McDonald's just to get some food, and I like to go to the curbside pickup. You park in a spot, and you put the number in, and they bring the food out to you. And there were there were 5 spots for car, and there was only 1 spot open. I parked, and I looked, and the other 4, there was nobody in the cars.
Well, all those people went inside probably to eat.
Yeah, and no respect for what the sign says. You know, there's a reason for those signs, and I don't get it. I agree with you that people do not respect. You know, the signs
on a city street,
but you know
we got Laz now.
But why aren't we enforcing that?
Exactly. I would like to know why Laz is not on foot. Okay, maybe the first week when they put a new stop sign up around town, they put red flags on it.
Right.
They put a new sign to warn you. Why aren't we having Laz till midnight working downtown?
Well, I'll tell you this: you go into L.A. in some places, and you park somewhere. They have meter guys on bikes. They have meter guys walk, and they're I mean, they're like one guy per block. It seems like.
Oh,
and that goes 1 minute past the time. He's writing you up right there on the. I mean, they give you no leeway there.
I used to work at a church in Hollywood off of Gower. There was a club in one of those vacant buildings nearby. Parking was no parking at 10. At 10:01, there were 6 tow trucks and three traffic officers waiting for that to turn to 10:01, and they started boom, 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 and people would come out and go, "Where's my car?" It's at the OPG, Official Police Garage. And you know what? Why don't we do? And I know Burbank wants to be sweet and nice, but you know what? I think a couple of tow trucks from GMP sitting up on San Fernando.
I don't think towing one person here and there will stop everybody else. I think we just need to start citing.
Yeah. Because
you and I both know that so many people come in from other cities here and don't respect our city.
Well, they're going to be stuck pretty soon with paying for parking everywhere.
Yeah.
And maybe people, but Laz, why isn't Laz out? Working San Fernando. And like I say, maybe it's because 1 week they're giving people, well, this 1 week is a good example. It's just going to continue. There are drivers out there that not only run stop signs, but park illegally. They go, I won't get a ticket. This is my dad's car. He'll get the ticket. I remember getting a ticket once in my mom's car. She yelled, "My insurance went up. Who the hell? Why?" And I didn't realize that it was because the ticket that I got, when I was mighty young.
You menace.
Yeah. Oh, she was not a happy camper gal. That does our show. Hey, Dick, what do you think? You coming back next week with a couple of our...
You got some homework assignments.
Depends if I have a game next Monday for women's basketball.
Now, would that be... Now, who's that star at SC?
Juju Watkins.
Oh, is she amazing? And she's just so cool about it.
Yeah, very, very, very. I don't want to say laid back, but got great composure for 18 years old.
Yeah.
But she is the next great WNBA star.
Yeah.
Now, do you know? Because in the NBA, of course, with men, a man has to go 1 year of college, and then he can declare for the draft after 1 year of college. Can women do that too?
I don't believe so.
More
I'm not
homework.
100% sure.
More homework.
Yep. I will.
I was just wondering. I mean, are the rules the same for women as they are for men? If not, why?
Well, Dick Dornan, I want to say, editor emeritus, you kicked us off when we were Burbank and Beyond, when we were in the infant stages, and covered a hell of a lot for us. hell of a nice time to have you.
Yeah. It's
You know, you even got to sneak in a pre-show dinner.
Yes.
You know.
That was great. Yeah.
You got to meet Heather.
Oh, and Heather is fantastic, Heather. And so hopefully you can come back if you're not traveling or in one of these basketball courts.
Yeah.
It was nice having
We
you.
always have a chair open here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I think it's good to get a different point of view in here.
That's right.
Well, I think that's it for another week. For Dick Dornan and Ross Benson, this is Craig Sherwood signing off and saying that we will talk to you. And oh, by the way, don't forget our restaurant special coming out later this week. So we'll talk to you later. Take care.
Looking forward to it.
My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of My Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Game Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequila's Burbank, Logix Credit Union, Hill Street Cafe, Bertain Escobar Wealth Management, and the UPS Store on 3rd Street. My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of My Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Game Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequilas Burbank, Logix Credit Union, Hill Street Cafe, Bertain Escobar Wealth Management, and the UPS Store on 3rd Street.